Hey, Riding Side Saddle friends, it's Lisa.
And Tammy.
And we are here with a part B with Heather. So if you had listened to a previous episode, we had Heather in the recording studio, and she shared her life experience in, as a quick summary, transitioning from a life of following the path of I should do this, I need to do this based off of logic and perhaps fear, and navigating the path of, well, this is what you do when you grow up, as opposed to what do I want to do, what fills my heart and inspires me and creates joy for me. And we talked a little bit about that and some of the ways to be able to think about that for yourself, where you're at right now, ways to be able to support other people in that journey and that path of finding fulfillment and inspiration.
Redefining success.
Yeah, right. Redefining what success means in your life. And we spent a great amount of time talking about that with Heather. She's back this time to be able to talk a little bit further, dig a little bit deeper into
Lisa's favorite thing.
Right, get your shovel out. The big one. What happens when we don't take that leap? What can happen in a situation where, we stay in that path of should? So welcome back.
Oh, thank you. It's my pleasure.
She smiled when she said that.
She
I
did.
think that was sincere.
It was genuine. I could feel it. I could feel it.
Sometimes people say that when they sit in our recording studio, and I'm not so sure.
It's great to be here.
Yeah, lucky me.
How'd I get suckered into this?
Yeah, right. Not once, but twice.
So,
welcome back.
Yeah. So Heather, just if in case somebody did not listen to that last episode, perhaps you can just give a really high level overview of, where you came from, or what got you to this place of
Your
having
elevator
this,
speech.
Yeah, having this conversation.
If I had $1 for every time somebody in corporate America told me, what's your elevator?
Yeah.
I never had one.
I don't even like
I
elevators.
don't even like that term.
I take the stairs every time, so I got none. And by the time I'm at the top of the stairs, I'm out of breath, so I got nothing.
I guess I'm the typical story of doing what the world expected you to do, and then realizing when you turned 50 that I just don't know why I did that. I worked for 20 years in corporate America. I spent 8 years early on in an abusive relationship. I did everything that the world said I was supposed to do. I followed the prescription in the path, even right down to my education. I got my advanced degree because somebody told me that I should get my advanced degree because the company was paying for it. So logically, that made sense. Why not go and get your advanced degree? Well,
Yeah.
I can tell you I have no interest in what my advanced degree is in, but I did it because it made sense at the time. Navigating all of that, and in that process, I developed an anxiety disorder, which I live with a panic disorder, and I live with anxiety and manage that. And I figured out over the time that is part of what caused my anxiety, because I wasn't living the life true to me. I wasn't following my value system.
Too many shoulds shoved down your throat.
Yes. And I just got to a point where I couldn't take it anymore. So I walked away from corporate America. I became a motivational speaker. I basically tell my anxiety story. I tell people how I live with it, how I manage it. My tagline is I tell people I help them make their happy happen.
Oh.
This is why you're such a
man.
wonderful human.
Right?
Honestly, like if that's what your target is, right? If
That's your
what
tagline. That is, wow.
I love you even more now.
Okay, I never knew if it was a good
Goosebumps.
tagline, but
That's
okay,
a
I guess.
spectacular
It is.
Some
tagline.
people liked it. Yay!
Oh, wow.
So that's what I do now. I just talk people through anxiety in their own life, stress in their own life, how they can reduce it, how they can live their most engaged, highly achieved life and bring happiness to their world. And
Wow.
so it's a complete 180 from the world I was in, from what I did. Completely different life. Had to make some very hard decisions and lifestyle changes to make it happen, because I don't make a lot of money at doing what I do compared to my 6 figures I was making before.
Right.
But it's okay, because I'm happy. I don't have the stress and anxiety that I had before. I don't need to take medication anymore to live my life. I get joy out of helping people and working with other people and meeting other people. And, it's just a whole different lifestyle.
So money doesn't make you happy?
Money does not make me happy. Money doesn't make most people happy.
No,
You're
it
right.
doesn't. Right.
You're right.
Right.
Most of money, frankly, is a way to escape from your life. Like that's oftentimes what you spend your money on, is ways to escape from what you do to make money.
Yeah.
Honestly, like it's circular.
I think I read this. I'm sure I did not come up with this myself. I'm not that clever, but it had something to do with creating a life that you don't need to vacation from.
Yeah.
So
I've
we
seen
work
that.
we work to go on, as an example, great vacations. And is it great to explore the world and see new things and people and cultures? Of course it is. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to do that. But when you're doing that because you can't stand where you live, you can't stand how you live, you can't stand the people you live with, or you know what I mean? You can't stand the life you created, so you need to escape by having these great vacations. What if you were to just create a life that you love?
Right.
Exactly.
How about that?
Right.
And travel can be part of that. Again, I'm not saying traveling is a terrible thing. I love to travel. But I also like the people I live with, right? I mean, I love the people I live with. I love the life that I'm creating.
What am I running away
Is it
from?
done?
Yeah.
No, it's not done. I have other wonderful things to create in my life, but I don't feel like I have to escape it.
Yeah. We have that struggle right now in where we live. Part of the change for us to be able to do what I do, to let me be able to do my job, is we had to give up a beautiful home that we had. We custom built our dream home and lived on 10 acres, and it was everything I ever wanted. And we had to give that up and downsize to a smaller home to be able to afford for me to make less money.
Yeah.
Which was fine. I mean, I was okay with that. But we had a plan when we moved here that after 5 years we were going to leave. So we were going to make one more downsize and go to an even smaller house or a condo or something. And that was the plan. And well, it's been 7 years now, I think, and we're still here, and we can't imagine leaving, because we've built relationships with our neighbors and we have friendships that developed and all of these things we didn't plan on. And now we look at each other and go, well, we can't leave this neighborhood. We love these people.
Well,
and they've got our backs and we have got theirs. And, it's just this whole thing now that, like, okay, so
How wonderful
darn
to
it,
give yourself permission to change your mind and be flexible.
yes. Right.
yes.
Yeah.
And built a life that we were happy with. Like, we didn't anticipate at all that we would be happy in this neighborhood. This was just a transition phase.
Yeah, it was a stepping stone for
yes,
you.
and we built a life here with neighbors that now we're happy with. And
I love that.
Why leave?
Right.
If you're happy,
Right.
why leave?
Follow the joy, even if it wasn't what you thought, right? Even if it wasn't marked out on your path. Follow the joy, and it's okay to be flexible to that.
Yep.
It's great.
It's okay to have a plan and use logic to create that plan. But it's really spectacular, I think, to give yourself permission to deviate from the plan when it feels like the right thing to do.
we abandoned it completely.
You did.
Now we're totally lost. Like, now we have no direction. No idea where we're going.
And we'll just stay here in our neighborhood until we figure it out, right?
Yeah.
And maybe that is. Maybe
Until
it is
our
the
neighbors
end.
move. Then we'll
Right.
have to figure out our plan.
Oh, wow.
So talk a little more about that, living in the should, and what happens when you, maybe you don't even know that's what you're doing, but what does that do to your person, to your
insides.
yes.
Yeah, your mental health.
Yeah.
And you
Your
talked a little
physical
bit
health.
about anxiety. And,
What a lot of people don't realize is, because it's so embedded in logic, is that you take these baby steps that make sense. So like in my case, I became a supervisor at work and then was told, well, if you want to make more money and you want to get ahead and you want to be successful, you need to be a manager. Okay, so then I became a manager at work. And then I was told, well, if you're going to advance beyond a manager, you have to have an advanced degree. So you need to go to school. So I went to school. And so it was all these little bits that all made sense.
Right. And because, I'm sorry to interrupt, and because they're little bits, you're like, well, I mean, I could do that. Like, that's okay. And, you know, an advanced degree, maybe I don't want to move up in this organization, but it's going to help me in, you know, it's not going to be a bad thing. So I'll put forth the effort and, you know, I'll do it.
And like you said, they're paying for it. Why wouldn't you do it then?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
What are you, lazy? Is that why you don't want to do it?
Are you afraid? Are you, you know, not up to a challenge?
Right.
But each of those steps, each of those things, each of those shoulds gnaws away at your mental health because it takes you a step further away from where you were meant to be. And what a lot of people don't buy into, but I totally buy into, is we all have a purpose on this planet. And we have a place that we belong and a thing that we were meant to do.
Absolutely.
A thing that we were meant to give to the world. And when you follow that path of shoulds, you move away from whatever your gift is, whatever you were meant to do. And when you do that, it creates anxiety, and it creates a little bit more anxiety and a little bit more anxiety. And in my case, it just developed into a full-blown, we're going to have a panic attack.
Yeah.
And it happens so gradually and so slowly, you don't recognize it until it blows up. And now what do I do? Now how do I fix my life? Like,
oh boy.
Well, now it's a screeching halt.
Yes.
Right? Like,
yes. Now you have to change. You're going to be forced into it.
That's right. And honestly, sometimes that's the universe's way to say, look, I've tapped you.
Yes.
I've told you. I've given you these quote unquote coincidences or signy signs.
Yes.
And you weren't listening.
And you have your head down.
Right.
Well, and I totally
Bulldozing
laughed.
your life.
I literally physically laughed when I heard your episode on intuition. Because, oh my God, do I not listen to the universe. And speaking was one of those things. I can literally remember when I was about 22, 23 years old, I was in college. I was in a communications course. I asked the director of the communications department, I said, I've decided I want to be a speaker. And she said, great, that's wonderful. Here's how you do it. And she gave me the outline of what I needed to do. She said, you know, you have to research things that are valuable to talk about. You have to create a speech. She gave me this whole, and I literally told her, no, that's not how it works.
Oh.
Now I'm 23 years old.
And
she's like 55 years old. She's the director of the communications department. There's no way that she knows more than I know, right?
Right. Of course not.
So I told her, no, I need to go out and live, and I need to find that thing that is, you know, my stressor. Like, all motivational speakers have that great tragedy that happened to them. Like, I need to go find my tragedy.
And you did.
And
she
oh boy,
said,
did I
okay,
find
good
my
luck
tragedy.
with that. Right. She said, all right, I'll look you up.
You know, so there, intuition, the universe gave me the tap on the shoulder, and I did not follow it. I did not listen. It happened again when I was in corporate America. I was asked to fill in as a trainer. We had a special program that was going on, and the training department didn't have resources, and they asked if I would help and train. I said, sure, I'd happily train. Well, what people don't realize about me is the speaker me or the trainer me is completely different than the real, the person that you talk to.
For sure.
Yeah.
When I get in front of on a stage or in front of a group of people, a switch flips, and I just become entertaining, and I just whatever. I have this, and I did this for this training class, and when we got done, one of my employees was in that class, and she looked at me and said, oh my God, where did that come from, and where is the Heather that we know? And I was like, yeah. Well, when I train, and she said, why aren't you a trainer? My God. She said, you were on fire. You were having fun. You were smiling. She's like, why aren't you a trainer? I said, well, because I'm a manager. Why would I be a trainer?
Right.
Second tap from the universe that somebody's telling you this is where you belong. That's where your energy is. I didn't listen.
Yeah.
I went back to managing, and I went back to my pursuit of being a director, and I'm going this way. And, And then the third tap was
you think you're creating
when,
a big life when really it's not. It's a very small life.
It was a very small life, yes.
Yeah.
And then the third tap was when I just lost it with my boss, and I quit. And I said, okay, I'm done. And then it became, okay, I'm all in, Mary.
Okay.
This is what we're going to do.
Right,
I'm going to go pursue my speaking. But I had the opportunity to start speaking when I wrote my children's book. So I would do presentations at schools, and I would go and talk with community organizations, and I would do that. So I got to do a little bit of speaking, and I got that bucket filled And then I still did the corporate America thing. So
Right.
it just, I hit the tipping point where I had to say, okay, now I'm going to go. So when you live that life of shoulds, yes, you are made to be very small. You are made to think that you're less than. You're made to think that your life isn't enough. It pulls you away from the thing that you're meant to do in this universe. And it creates more stress than it gets rid of. And
Oh, wow.
it's just, it erodes away at you slowly.
Yeah.
So it's a vicious cycle,
Yeah,
isn't
is.
it? Yeah.
It is. And at the time that I realized it, I mean, I was at a point of managing my anxiety that required medication. It required therapy. It required, I was actively living this.
A lot of time and resources
Yes.
to manage that.
And miserable most of
and
the
miserable,
time.
yes, because
Yeah.
I was worried, when's the next panic attack going to happen? I mean, I
Right.
was always on edge of, is
boy.
this going to be it? Is that going to be it? And when I walked away, I went, oh, I got this. I understand it now. And, now I have routines and I don't need medication. And I've gotten to a point where I can recognize when anxiety is starting and I can actively manage through that process.
Wow.
And, it just became a lot less stressful, but it also became a lot more joyful.
Yes.
So now I'm doing what I think I was meant to do.
Right.
And I'm loving my life. And
Oh,
So we were
what
talking.
a great place to be.
Absolutely.
it's a wonderful
Loving
place
your
to be,
life.
to
Yeah.
love your life.
Right.
It's just, but
Imagine-
again,
and
my
manage
life is
that, yeah.
nothing now like what I thought it would have been 10 years ago. It's nothing. And honestly, I have friends and family members that look at us and what we did and have said to us, you're ridiculous. Like, I can't believe you did this. You
Wow.
gave up your house, you gave up your salary, you gave up, traveling, you gave up all of these things. Like, are you dumb? Why did you do that?
Yeah.
Like, well, you don't understand.
Because I'm
I may
actually
be dumb,
happy
but I'm
now.
happy.
Right.
Yeah.
You're,
Yes.
you're
Right.
looking through the
I'm-
should lens.
You are.
As opposed
Yes.
to what actually makes me joyful.
There,
If I die tomorrow, I have no regret at this point.
Oh,
because I'm happy.
gosh.
that is a life worth
And
living.
yes. How many people can say that?
Like I can't, I held my
Right.
breath after that just to take that in, because that's something. If I die tomorrow, can I say that I died happy?
With
happy.
a life with no regrets.
Right. Wow.
Wow. I oftentimes, going places and whatever, driving past a really big, beautiful house and think, oh, that's so pretty. But it does cross my mind. I wonder if they're happy.
I think that too. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And maybe they are. They
Right.
might be blissfully happy. I'm not saying that you can't live in a big house and be happy.
Right.
You can. I'm sure you can. But stopping to ask the question, because so often, again, comparison is the thief of joy. Looking at that house thinking, oh, if only, right?
I wish I could be there.
Yes.
I'd be so happy.
I wonder
if-
what those people do for a minute, for a living to make so much money to live in that beautiful house, and how come I'm not doing that?
Yeah.
But then the thought also crosses my mind, but I wonder if they're happy.
Yes. How much stress are they living with?
Yeah.
How much angst and,
Yes.
and anger? How much
Is
responsibility?
it that
Regret or
somebody is
regret,
not,
resentment.
whoever's making the money isn't even home to enjoy that beautiful
That.
place
Yes.
because they're so busy making the living to pay the mortgage.
That.
Right? So they're not
Yes.
able to be there whether they live alone or with family, right?
So we were talking, I can't remember if it was another episode, if it was just a conversation that we were having about, following your authentic path or your passion, or, the role or the job that you've been given by the universe, your reason for being here. And those subtle, it's not even really subtle, but, when you are navigating away from your authentic job or self, or things that don't resonate with you, oftentimes as you start trudging down that path, it becomes more and more challenging. Like if you're actually paying any level of attention, as opposed to listening to the should, right, birds tweeting in your ear, like when you start feeling like, oh, this is really hard, or oh, that didn't work out, and now I have to come up with this new way to try to meet my goal again, or that door was closed and now I'm back to where I was before, and I have to figure out what my new next steps are going to be, still trying to get towards that goal of the should goal. Like those are key indicators
Yes.
in, like, internally, intrinsically, is this where I should even be going? Like, let's stop with the challenges for a second. Let's stop, like, oh, get yourself back up and try again. Try harder. You know, you don't get anything without a whole bunch of hard work in this life. And perhaps it's like, hold on.
It's a feeling of dread.
Yeah, like this is
that kind
too
of hangs
hard.
over you. And when you live with anxiety, that you get very attuned to that feeling. You start to recognize it and go, okay, this isn't a situation I should probably be walking into because I just feel this overwhelming, like, ugh.
So you have to
And
get
you
really
know.
in tune with your intuition
Yes.
that way. What is my body telling me right now? Right? Like, is this something that's going to be good for me, or is it not? And I have to act upon that, right?
Yes.
So that's interesting.
So that's, you were talking, I was thinking, so how do we get out of the should? You know, and we talked about it a little bit in our last episode with you. It always starts with being an observer, right? How do I feel in this moment? I'm going to make this decision to go back to school and get an advanced degree. How does that feel? Does it feel good? Does it feel... Never mind where I am
Never mind the logic.
logically supposed to go.
Right.
Never mind the should. Never mind it just makes sense. How does that feel to me?
And that's exactly accurate, because when I did that, I was not in tune to my feelings. I did not think about how things felt. I thought about thinking and logic and what made sense. And I can tell you now, it never felt good. I did not like sitting for 8 hours on a Saturday writing a paper. I did not like sitting in class and having to placate a professor and just say I agreed with what he thought because otherwise I'd get a bad grade. Like, there was
Right.
nothing about that process that I enjoyed.
It was not authentic to you at all.
No, it wasn't. But it made
checked
sense.
the box,
It checked the
right?
box.
That's what I was supposed to do.
I made my family proud. I made my friends proud. I got the diploma. You know, I did what I was supposed to do, and I am proud of that accomplishment today. I will rattle that off to anybody, especially speaking. That yes, I have a master's degree. Yay!
Right.
You know,
Right.
it's a
'Cause
good
it was damn
accomplishment.
hard.
It was hard to get.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in the process, no, I did not feel good about being in the process. So, but I didn't pay attention.
Right.
I was not very good at self-observation
No,
at that point in time.
no. That's not, it is not an easy thing to do. It
did.
sounds easy. Well, just be an observer. It's not easy.
No. Living with shoulds is also a big component of being a people pleaser, and I'm a people pleaser.
Oh,
Yes.
boy. Yes.
I don't want you to be uncomfortable. I don't want you to be upset. I don't like conflict. It's funny because anybody that worked with me will tell you the opposite. They'll say, "Are you kidding me? You were all about conflict. Like, you were always arguing with us and you were always whatever." It's like, but little did they know, if you would have just pushed back, I would have caved,
Yeah.
because I don't like it. And I want to do whatever's going to make you happy. So I don't know what makes me happy.
Yeah.
So my spouse does that to me every now and then. I'll get told, well, no, you decide. And it takes me an hour to decide like what I want for dinner. So I'm like, well,
There's so many factors.
But what do you want?
are you hungry for? I don't care what I'm hungry for. What do you
Yeah.
want? Well, okay. Well, we haven't had, pizza in a while. I don't care what we've had recently. Like, if you want what
What
we had
do
last
you
night,
want?
what do you want? I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I don't know what I want. I want you to be happy. No, you pick what we're going to have for dinner. And, we do this back and forth. But
And that's hard.
That is hard.
Yes, and that's
Oh, gosh.
that's a result often of childhood trauma.
It is.
Which in my case is, and
Yeah.
it's a defense mechanism. It's how you learn to cope and to get through life. And when you get to trying to get out of the shoulds, you have to learn what it is that you like and who you are, and that's the observation piece. Yes, you have to understand that, and it's okay if I make a decision. It's okay if I say I want to do something,
And it's okay if you don't like it.
Yes.
Right? It's okay if anybody else doesn't like it. It's my decision, and I'm okay with that. I'm
Yes.
sitting with it. Yeah.
and that is giving yourself grace. That's
Oh, yeah.
leading with some, forgiveness and giving yourself the grace to make those decisions and do
I
what's best for you.
remember in my mid-20s, a friend of mine, she would say something like, what are you hungry for? What do you want for lunch? What do you want for dinner? Like, if I went to her house, I don't know. Whatever. And she'd say, well, what do you have a taste for? Nothing in particular. And one day she said to me, you know what? It really concerns me that you never have a taste for anything. You never have a craving for something. I don't think that's okay. It's like, what do you mean? I'm easy to get along with. Whatever you want
I'm
is
a
fine
people
with
pleaser.
me. That was
Right.
it. Whatever you want is fine with me. I really don't care. Whatever you want. I still am like that with food. It's not, it doesn't drive me, right? But but I have found myself more recently in the last couple of years, well, do you want this for dinner? No, I really don't. Where in the past I would have been like, yeah, that's fine. We can have that for dinner.
And I do that with
I had
everything.
no idea
Like, everything
that
is
was
whatever you want to do. I don't.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was attached to people pleasing. Number one. Number two, I didn't realize that was a symptom of me not knowing myself. I don't even know what I like to eat.
Yeah.
Jeez. And I'm not, skinny. So clearly I enjoy food, right? You would think that I would have...
An opinion.
Yes,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
No, and I don't have an opinion pretty much about anything in my life. Like, at all. Like, I will do anything you want to do. Lisa saw it trying to set up this meeting. Well, where do you want to meet? Well, it's fine. Heather, you pick a spot. Well, I want you to be this. So, okay. So finally I told her that. I said, well, I'm a people pleaser, so you're going to have to make the decision.
I was like, okay.
I can't do that. We're just not even going to go there.
It's fine.
It's all right. Lisa's a planner. She likes to do
We'll
that.
have 5 more messages back and forth if we wait for me to
figure
make
this
the
out.
decision. It's just not going to happen.
Well, and then when you have two people pleasers going back and forth, right?
yeah,
Because
good
that's what
Lord.
happens. Like, you're like, well, where would you like? And I'm like, well, you tell me. No. Let's make this easier on you. I'm like, actually, we should be making it easy on you. So it's like, oh my gosh. Okay. We just push pause.
The ripcord. Let's
Here's the plan. Hope it works out well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I get that a lot from people. They tell me I'm hard to be around because of that. Like, can you just make a decision just because I don't care? I'm like, well, I don't care either. Well,
We can both not care.
Yeah, so I'm hard to be around sometimes when it comes to making decisions with stuff like that.
That's funny.
People want me to be happy and they don't understand. Well,
We made it work, Heather.
you can do anything that'll make me happy. I just don't care. I'm just, I try to be easy to get along with. I try to be just low maintenance and no drama. And,
Right.
We made it work.
Yeah, and we did.
It worked.
I created, but
Best cup of coffee.
I do make a good cup of coffee.
You do
I'm
make a
proud of
good
that.
cup of coffee.
But as far as your should question, to get
Yeah.
out of the shoulds, honestly, you have to surround, in my opinion anyway, you have to surround yourself with people that support you in whatever it is that you want to try to do. People that aren't going to tell you you're
nuts for giving up that job.
Yeah, people that are going to see the positive in whatever, people that are going to help you, that will say, well, let me go and take you there, or let me get that paper for you, or, you need that support system of people. And the world is so filled with judgmental people, and we're all so programmed to look at the negative, and social media has driven us to the point of
Insanity.
these
Yeah.
unreal expectations
Yeah,
that we look
sure.
at. You don't look for the people that are your
tribe.
heroes. You don't look for
Yeah.
your tribe. You
Yeah.
don't look for the people that are going to cheer you on. And
Is that why coaching has become such a big thing?
believe
People
it has,
hire
yes.
people to be their support system because they can't find it in their tribe.
no, yes.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
And you're not willing to walk away from the people that are creating that. So,
Right.
are you willing to walk away from family that are being negative and not supporting you, and say,
Ooh, that's
okay,
hard.
I can't go there? Well, that's a
that's
should.
really
That,
hard.
well, I can't do that. Are you willing to walk away from your job that's providing for your family and is,
my throat's
creating
closing
this,
up
whatever,
again.
And,
Yeah.
so often coaches, yes, will walk you through that. Well, if you want to do that, then how do we make that happen? What can you
Right.
give up? How can we reduce expenses? How can we change this? Where can we find you somebody that's supportive that does this for you? That's the coach role, because you can't trust family or friends to be honest with you.
Right.
To give you that. 'cause-
Right. Well, and I think it comes from a good place, though. I don't want you to
I
be
was just going to
homeless.
say that.
So
Right.
I
love
don't want you to
I
give up
want
your
you-
job because I want you to be
I want you to be protected.
Yes,
To
it's
be safe.
absolutely
I
well
want
intentioned.
your basic needs as a human to be met: food, clothing, shelter. Right.
It's
And you're
absolutely-
giving that up by giving up your job, which I can't support.
That's concerning.
Right.
Right.
It's totally well intentioned. It's
Right.
I don't think any family member sets out to harm you that way. No, they want you, and that was my case. I had an uncle that very seriously he wanted me to be a success, but what's
his
your
idea
definition of success? Yes, his definition of success was a good job, able to support yourself, not homeless, and making a good salary. Well, there's other definitions of success.
Right. Oh boy.
And for your authentic self, that wasn't yours. Yeah. Yeah.
But so for some people it is. I'm thinking of someone who was very intentional and strategic in her career path and choices she made, because she grew up without financial security. She was like, I am not living like that as an adult. This is number one on my priority list. I need financial security, and to me that means earning X number of dollars a year. And she went out and did that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. I don't necessarily think that is shoulds, a pile of shoulds either. But it also doesn't mean that at some point you can't change your mind if it feels like, so now I've done that and I have financial security. Now what?
Yes.
It's not really any different than the, I've been everything to everyone episode we did, right?
Correct.
So I did all of that, and I met my own needs even.
Right.
But now what?
Right.
I did that, so now what?
Right. So when you're kind of going down the track of, the programming and what you've done, and you're starting to feel that conflict rise within yourself, and in your experience, you experienced an extreme conflict, anxiety and panic. When you're seeing that culminate, what are some things that you can do to really manage that for yourself, to support yourself so that it doesn't, so that while you're trying to figure out where in the hell do I want to be, what can I do, as opposed to I'm entrenched here, but I don't want it to bury me, right?
Two strategies. One is self-talk. It's absolutely the voice in your head. It's what you tell yourself about yourself.
Yeah.
And,
The tape.
And who you are.
It's the program.
And you need to reprogram that message. You need to, and even if it is, there was a video on Facebook a while ago about it with a dad with his little girl. She was like 3 or 5. And he literally put her in front of a mirror and went through with her, I am smart. And she said, I am smart. I am beautiful. I am beautiful. You literally have to do that for yourself. You literally have to sit down and go, wait a minute. I'm not where I want to be. I'm not in the situation I want to be, but I'm resourceful. I'm intelligent. I have good friends. I'm kind. I'm generous. I'm all of these things. I can figure this out. You need to change your narrative in your head. You need to create that identity for who you are, and you might have to say it to yourself 5 times a day.
That's a practice.
You have to practice it. Yes.
So in our last episode, we talked about writing that list, sitting down and being quiet and writing a list about, these are
who I am.
Right. These are words that describe me. But we didn't talk about reading that list to yourself.
Yeah.
Yes,
Over
you
and
have to
over,
believe who you
repeating
are,
that
yes.
list.
So that you can believe it, as opposed to, all right, I'll write this down. I mean, trust me when I say I'm the biggest advocate to putting a pencil to paper, because it makes
You're a big journaler.
it makes it very real. And once it's written, it's physical, it's real. So that's a huge step in the right direction, right? But then taking that paper and having it in front of you, or walking past it, when you're washing your hands at the kitchen sink, or, when you're getting ready in the bathroom, to be able to see it, and then to say it to yourself. Look yourself straight in the eyes.
You
right?
have to say
Out
it. You
loud.
cannot just read it. You
Out
have to say
loud.
it out loud.
Yes.
For it to register cognitively in your brain,
Yes.
to actually change the structure of your brain. You have to say it. I always laugh because I make a joke when I say that in a presentation, because I say I'm a child of the 80s. And if you remember Saturday Night Live, daily affirmations, I'm smart enough and I'm good enough. And gosh darn it, people like me.
I do remember that.
That's what you
Maybe
got to do.
it wasn't such a joke.
Right. Right.
No, it wasn't really. And when you've been programmed to now you're an adult and you don't believe you're good enough, you have to tell yourself you're good enough. Nobody's going to do it for you.
Right.
So you have to convince.
There was that it was a book and then turned into a movie called The Help. And there's a scene in there where the maid is telling the little girl, you're kind, you're smart, you're important.
Yes.
And the girl would recite that back. And man, that stuck with me. One of my grandkids, I say that to him. He was little when I read that book, and so I started saying it to him, and he would really puff up And then sometimes he would add to it.
Aw.
So if he had a bad day at school, because he had even at that age a lot of anxiety, and he had a hard time sitting still and listening. He's got ADD issues and ADHD, things like that. So if he had a day at school where he wasn't a good listener, and then we would talk about it after school, and I would say to him, before he'd go home, and I'd say, you are smart, you're kind, you're important. And he'd say, and I'm a good listener too, right?
Oh,
I'd
my
say,
heart right now.
you can be whatever you want to be. Let's add that to your list. You are kind, you are smart, you're important, and you're a good listener. And then one day he came and he said, and I'm strong too, right? And you're strong. And so we just kept adding things to his list. And then as he got older, I would say it to him and he'd get embarrassed, right? He didn't want other people to hear it. He wanted me to whisper it to him. He didn't want other people to hear his list. And then it got to be where he doesn't want me to say it at all. He'd say, Gigi, you got to hold that in the can. And I'd say, hold it in the can. How am I supposed to hold it in the can? I need to say it to you. It's bursting out of me. I know you need to hear it and I need to say it. And he'd say, got to hold in the can till Christmas. Like he'd give me a date, like one day a year you can say it to me. So he doesn't live in Wisconsin. I don't see him. Maybe once or twice a year we get to see each other. So if we're texting or writing to each other, I will say I'll put that in his card or whatever, and he
remembers it.
He does.
Sure does.
He does. Yeah.
That's going to be important for the rest of his life.
When he becomes an adult, that will be very important for him.
Yeah. I haven't said it to him directly in a while because I know it does embarrass him. So I'm not trying to make him uncomfortable, but I think I'm going to bring it back.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Or maybe simply write him a note that only says that.
Yeah.
Right? Can you imagine opening that up on, a mediocre or a not very good day?
Oh,
or even
yeah.
a good day.
Right.
Like, man, just that.
Ugh.
Whew. We're all going to be crying in here. God damn it, Tammy. That was an amazing story.
You're welcome.
Ooh.
Again, not my original idea. I'm not that clever,
But it is yours to him.
it is. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Wait till he finds out it wasn't just about him. His whole childhood would be a lie.
Oh, that's not true. We'll never tell.
Well, I mean, it's a book and it's a movie. He might find out.
It'll be too old by then.
Maybe. And this has nothing to do with this, but it's such a funny story. I just have to share it anyway. So his thing, like our thing, is making pancakes. So every time he comes over, I make him pancakes. And from scratch, right? And so, I don't know. He was maybe like 8 or 10. And he said, Gigi, you really need to write this recipe down. Because if you die, that's it. The family recipe's gone.
It ends with you.
Right. So you really should write it down so that, just in case you die. And I said, and I didn't realize that he thought this was a secret family recipe. And I said, you mean the secret family recipe, that super secret recipe that's on the internet? And he went, what? What? This is not a secret family recipe. I said, no. I literally got it from the internet. I'll give you I'll give you the address and you can make it yourself.
It's not even the same recipe every time.
It is the same recipe every time, but it is not a secret. It is definitely not a secret. So every time he says, are you going to make those secret pancakes? I said, yeah, you mean the super secret ones that are on the internet? And then we have a good chuckle. But in that moment, it was like, what? He was crushed.
you were
like,
serious.
my whole childhood's a lie.
That's funny. Well, maybe you had better forewarn him about
know,
the movie
right?
because that may be more crushing than I originally thought.
Right. Anyway, that was an aside. But
So self-talk
yes.
is monumental.
Yes.
And
huge.
and what I love about that story, Tam, is that you built that skill in him, right? And he might not use it every day, but you made him aware, right, of how important that is, to the degree that he added things. Well, yeah, I am those things. Thanks. And I'm this.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty fucking spectacular about this too.
Yeah.
So let's add that to the
Right.
list. To just have that exposure, right? As opposed to the opposite of that, right? What the hell's wrong with you? Why didn't you do that? You could do this better. Like,
Can't you ever listen?
Yeah. Like, amazing.
And that's the second component. It's called reframing.
Oh,
It's changing
Oh, who knew?
the narrative
you're welcome.
of the story. Yes.
So
Wow.
explain more.
You decide how you look at a situation and you define what that situation is so you can reframe it to be something else. So I'll give you the example. In junior high, I played basketball. I've been 6 feet tall since I was in 5th grade.
Oh, holy moly.
Wowee.
All
So
right.
obviously I must play basketball, right?
Well, you should.
You should.
You're tall. Why wouldn't you?
No, I shouldn't. See, I also have no depth perception.
Oh.
So I can't see the ball when it's coming at me.
Oh,
and I'm
boy.
incredibly uncoordinated.
Join that
Incredibly
club.
Uh-huh.
Another
So-
thing we have in
But
common.
when you're tall, everyone thinks that you
They
are
think you can play
coordinated, and you
basketball.
should
Yes.
do that.
So I
Yeah.
did. I joined the 8th grade basketball team. I was on the team. I played whatever. And I tell people that I played twice a game. That's it. The jump ball at the start and the jump ball at the half.
Oh.
Because I was
That
tall,
was
I
your
had long
goal.
arms, I could hit the ball. Like, that was it. I mean, they didn't put me in otherwise unless somebody got hurt.
yeah.
You know, Heather did not play basketball.
Well, what do we have on the bench over here?
Yeah, or you know, when we were ahead by so much, or the other team was ahead by so much that it didn't matter anymore. It's like, okay, then Heather can go here. Like, then you know,
How crushing. I was
Yes,
that
I
kid.
was that
I
too.
know that feeling.
Yeah.
Now I can define it that way. I can say I was horrible at basketball. I'm uncoordinated. I'm blah blah blah, whatever. Or I can say was a valuable asset on the basketball team
You were.
as the jump ball person.
There.
right.
That's
All
what I
right.
did. That was my purpose on the team. That's what I did. So
it's not lying
reframe.
to yourself.
No,
I
not
was
at
a
all.
great basketball
Right,
player when you
right.
really weren't.
I was a great jump
but
ball
you were
person.
a great jump ball. Yeah.
I was a great
I love
bench
that.
warmer. Like, for me, I didn't play basketball because at recess time, no matter what sport it was, or gym class, when they had to pick teams,
Yeah.
I was literally the last person.
I was always last.
Every
The last.
time,
Oh.
to the degree that they wouldn't even call me to the team that I was supposed to go on. I just,
just
had
had
to
to
keep
know.
track and walk to the appropriate side.
I was always in the last three. Like, there was three
Me
of us
too.
that I knew were like, okay, we're like the you know,
Yes.
considered the dirt of the class. Or
Yes.
Yeah.
whatever. I was
I'm a
always in that
turtle.
last
I
three.
feel like
Yeah.
I'm running fast, but I am not.
There was one time that I will never ever forget. We were playing baseball, softball, or whatever, and it was my turn to bat. And man, like 51 times out of 50, I struck out. Okay, so that's what we're dealing with. And this particular time, the gods like opened the sky and rained down a gift that I hit the ball, and not only did I hit it, but I really smacked it. I mean,
Oh,
it was
You
good.
got all of that one.
Well, because when people saw me come up to bat, everybody came
Everybody
really
come on in.
close,
Yeah.
right?
was me.
Like, God damn it!
it's not getting out of the infield. Everyone
Take
in
a
the
break, everybody. Heather's up. Don't have to worry.
Go get your water.
Yeah.
And that one time when the heavens opened and I smacked that ball, like it took me.
Take that, suckers!
It took me a moment to figure out I should release the bat and start
run?
running because
you never do that.
right, like that was my first experience.
Now what do I do? and they're all yelling, "Run, run, run!"
But I suppose if I reframed that, I was the surprised hitter.
Oh,
Right?
Yes.
Like, as opposed to I always strike out except for this one time. I was the surprise hitter. How's that?
there you go.
I'll stick with that for the rest of our life.
And that's it. That's reframing. You
Love
decide
that.
what the narrative is. So just like you decide what your self-talk narrative is in your head, you decide what the story is. So we all too often look at the negative of the story. We look
do,
at,
don't
yeah,
we?
Yes.
you know,
We
and
gravitate there.
That's it. Yeah. You know, I can tell you I'm freakishly tall and that makes me awkward. Or I can tell you, you know what, in the grocery store, I'm everybody's best friend because I can reach the top shelf. You know, it's, you decide what that is. So take whatever negative
love
story it
that.
is you're telling yourself and flip it and go, okay, wait a minute. Where's the good of it? What's the positive side of it?
All right.
It's a good thing that you do.
You've taught me so much. Like I really am taking a whole basket of skills home to be able to figure out how to develop because they aren't necessarily skills that I've done for the last 49 years, right? There, like you said, it's easy to find the negative. From an Enneagram perspective, they call my type a reformer or a perfectionist. So like I navigate immediately to what could be better. Right?
I did your Enneagram thing, by the way, and oh my God.
I'm nervous.
Was it right?
It could not have nailed me any better.
Oh.
I saw you posted, but I can't remember what type you had
It was
aligned with.
equal parts 1 and 9.
Okay.
I can see that.
With a wing of 6, I think, and a wing of 3. I don't know.
Interesting.
It was INTJ, introvert, perfectionist.
I'm an INTJ too. No wonder I love you so much.
I read it and I
I can
couldn't
never
fool-
remember what I am.
I said to, after I read it, I said, I thought I had changed in the 3 years since I've been in corporate America. Like I've had a lot of self-growth. I've, really changed my person. So I would have thought that test would have come out different. And dang, it was the
didn't.
same.
I know.
It was the exact same as it's been for 20 years.
Well, they trick you because they ask you the same types of questions over and over in different ways.
Yep.
And it's going to get you.
Yes. And
Yeah.
it did.
It'll see you more clearly than probably anyone
want
in
to
your
see
life.
yourself.
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
And
right.
it didn't seem like that many questions compared to some personality tests
Yeah.
that I've done. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't that many.
Yeah.
Yet they
Honed right
put it
in.
together
a mini,
like that.
It's a mini test.
I was like, wow.
Well, there you go.
So yeah, I got done. I was like, damn this.
So the point of that is when you are, classified as your personality as the perfectionist or the reformer, it takes some real effort to be able to shift from that automatic, innate style, right? Maybe it was programmed in, maybe it's your true personality, but to be able to say, okay, hold the bus. I know what's the easy way for me. I know what I gravitate towards. And now I'm going to do this a little differently, right? I'm going to sit down with this blank piece of paper and write down all of the things that I am, that are positive. And I'm going to say this in the mirror. And it might feel weird, like really weird at first. And you might not even be able to look yourself in the eye in the mirror while you say it at first because it feels uncomfortable. But as you continue, like, oh, well, perhaps I am. Or here's an example, right? That I actually am that. And now I'm beginning to believe it about myself.
Right.
Yeah.
My big one is perfectionism because I am a perfectionist.
Yeah,
I've got a
me
little
too.
bit of OCD going on.
Yeah.
I like everything has to be a certain way. And to tell myself I'm not a perfectionist, I simply like things to be organized.
Yeah.
Or I'm not a perfectionist. I like to take care of my family and know that they're going to be cared for when I'm gone.
Yes.
Or, you put different words to that word. So
It
that it's
changes
a
the
good thing.
connotation.
It changes
It
the
does.
connotation of it,
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Some skills, some real
Right.
development opportunities for me. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, my head's swimming.
Do you have parting thoughts? Because I'm looking at you and you have a lot happening.
I do
but
have
I don't
a lot
know if you have
happening. I
parting
don't-
You can see the
thoughts.
little
Yeah.
chipmunks
Yeah.
going.
They are. Yeah, the hamster wheel is spinning pretty fast upstairs. I don't know that
Okay.
I can put them all together. There's too many swimming around.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So observer, reformer, or rephraser. Those are two really big takeaways, I think.
Yeah.
When you're living in a life of should, it creates a very unbalanced, really unbalanced life
Yes,
and
it does.
person, right?
Very unbalanced, small.
And it impacts
It
you
limits
from
your abilities.
Right.
and it impacts you from
In
a
every area.
multitude of different areas,
Right.
up to and including physically. Yeah,
Like on a
mentally and
cellular
physically.
level,
Yes.
really. Yeah.
That's actually the amazing thing about your brain. It will take and take and take, and it will just let you pile on stress. But there's always a tipping point.
Yeah.
There's always a point where it says, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. So that's when the bucket overflows. And
Well, isn't that also when a lot of
you're-
physical symptoms start
Yes,
to
It
manifest,
is.
right?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
yes, the physical body will react to that
Right.
stuff. Yeah. And if you're not paying attention and you're not being observant to it, then yes, it's
You could get in big trouble that
the
way.
universe will tell you that you are not on the right path.
Yeah. And as loudly as you need it to. Right.
Yep.
And what strength, what strength to be able to go from a place of I'm completely out of control right? I feel bad every day, physically, mentally, emotionally, and be able to say, all right, I'm taking steps to change that and to truly change your entire existence. Like, it's really inspirational. Thank you for sharing it.
Again, my pleasure.
Thank you, Heather. Oh boy. My heart is full. My eyes are full.
I know.
Yeah.
My
I'm
bladder's
never going
full.
to get invited back again.
Yes, you are. We love this shit, Heather.
Heck yeah, you are.
I told you I'm a crybaby. It's
We've got
everyday event.
ones and eights and nines galore in here. We're
sure
all
do.
in the same bucket.
Yeah.
All right. We got to wrap this up,
All
though.
right. So Mind Garden Media, you always remember to
Todd,
do this at
thank
the
you.
end. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump in this
All right.
time because authentically and wholly, thank you so much for helping us to create this for ourselves in filling our own wells, and that effect, right? The effect that we hope that we're having in sharing stories like Heather's and giving like small skills for people to be able to just even consider. Thank you for being a part of that and helping us to do that.
Absolutely. Facilitating that. This wouldn't be a thing.
No, it wouldn't. So thank you.
I remember
sincerely.
back in the very beginning where I knew he had a business, Todd had a business, Mind Garden Media, to help people start podcasts. And I didn't want to reach out to him about this. We had this idea and I was like, yeah, I don't want to bother him. I know he does that, but I don't want to bother him.
I don't want to be that person.
Right. And his sister actually said, bother him. He wants to do this.
Right.
Be that person.
Right.
Yes, absolutely. You should talk to him. So that was that was a good one to follow. So I'm glad we did. Thank you very much, Todd. Thank you to our listeners and our followers and people who are
Our tribe, and it's growing. We are in Singapore right now.
Awesome.
Singapore, Canada, the UK,
Belgium, I
Belgium.
think is in there.
Yeah. I haven't looked this week, but I bet
That's
it's
wonderful.
continuing to grow.
And
India,
all over the United States.
Yeah.
India,
I forgot that one.
I remember that feeling when we got our first book order from Australia. It
Yeah.
was like, what? That's
I love
crazy.
this. I'm
It was
global.
So cool. I remember that feeling
International,
well.
baby. That's
Right.
Congratulations.
At least international, not global, but certainly international.
Yeah.
So thank you
No,
all
congratulations.
Right.
That's
for
awesome.
listening and participating and engaging with us.
If these episodes resonate with you, even on a very simple level, like they make me chuckle, share it.
Yeah.
Share it with other people who you think would enjoy.
Hanging out with us.
Yes, that.
All right.
On that note,
Until next time.
toodaloo.
Bye.
Bye.